Hello, my name is Margaret Adele, and welcome to another indie book review. This is one I was really excited to get to because I have given this author 5 stars multiple times in the past, and that is The Gatekeeper Staff by Antoine Bandele. This is, well, I described it in my Amazon review as Tristan Strong meets Percy Jackson. Tristan Strong of the Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. If you know that book, it's in the Rick Riordan Presents series, but obviously not written by him. And this definitely seemed like the love child of those two series. This is all about a young man named TJ, who is reeling from the death of his older sister. That's not a spoiler, it's in the synopsis. But his older sister, Dio, was the golden child, was the one that could do no wrong, and was also one of the most powerful diviners in their world. Now, this is basically a system of secret magicians, all living interconnected, where normal people don't know, or in this book they call them the Clouded, which I really like. I feel like a lot of fantasy books try to come up with cool names for the non-magic people and they fail, but I like the idea of the Clouded. And this book also has it where, like, every culture's pantheon is basically true. This one focuses on Yoruba culture specifically, but, like, they make mentions to, I think at some point they make mentions to, like, Nordic and Indian and a couple different other, like, pantheons and gods being real and having their own magic systems. I don't know if it's exactly the same as in here, because like I said, it's only kind of like vaguely mentioned that, like, other cultures have magicians that are part of this secret world, and I really liked that idea. But this one is specifically about TJ and how he is the only person in his family who doesn't really do magic, or at least of his siblings. I guess his dad doesn't do magic either. But his older sister and his younger brother are both very skilled in their form of magic, but he's kind of on the back foot. He's the underdog, and I love this trope. I love the my family is all superheroes, but I'm not trope. So he spends a lot of time being an underdog, but, like, in a relatable way. And I'm not just saying that because both of my sisters were more popular than me. But after the death of his sister, his magic begins to kind of, like, come up in unexpected ways. And suddenly they start thinking, oh, maybe he does have something. It's still not coming out the way everyone else's does, but there's a chance that there's more to him than they thought. And he still can't get into, like, one of the fancy magic schools, but he can get into Camp Olosa, which is, like, basically remedial magic camp, where you send people who need help learning their magic but do not qualify for, like, the prestigious schools in this world. So that's where the Percy Jackson comparison comes in, because it's a literal summer camp. And that's kind of also the thing with the plot, is at the beginning and the end of the book, the plot moves very quickly, exceedingly quickly. A lot of stuff happens, big attacks, big reveals. However, the second third and the center slows down considerably because it is much more focused on what is in essence a training montage. While TJ has multiple different goals when he goes to the camp, one, he does want to become better. He doesn't think he's actually ever going to qualify for the magic schools, but he wants to, like, at least not be the loser of the family that can't do any magic. He also wants to find out exactly what happened to his older sister. His older sister purportedly died of cardiac arrest, which he finds out is basically a lie. It's like a code word for no, she died of something else, and he wants to find out why. And there's reason to believe it had something to do with this group called the Keepers. The Keepers want to bring back the full power of the Orishas. And the Orishas in this world are basically their deities. They're a little bit different than a lot of the deities you might know from other cultures because their domains are very specific. Like, you have one that's not the Orisha of death. She's specifically the Orisha of graveyards. Or, like, you have a kind of trickster god type dude, but he's, like, specifically the god of, like, thresholds. Like, when you cross the threshold or cross a gate. Like, they have very hyper-specific technical, like, domains that might encompass more things beyond that. But I thought that was really interesting how specific they got and the differences in it. But in this world, the Orishas have kind of left them. No one is really talking to the Orishas very much, not even the most powerful diviners. And the Keepers want to bring them back to full power, but like for nefarious purposes. And it's kind of a Keepers versus the rest of the diviner world fight. And all that TJ knows is that somehow his sister got caught up in it, and that's how she died. And there's a lot of little clues sprinkled without. I don't know that they ever tell you the full extent over the course of this book, at least, but it is a series. There are a lot of reveals near the end. About some of them, how many? 2 or 3 of them I caught ahead of time. And then one I only caught like 40 pages before it was revealed. Now, I never hold that against a book because I am always avidly searching and expecting plot twists. It's like my thing. The minute you bring up like one little line of, oh, that's strange, the character thinks, I like zone in on it and remember it and try to think, okay, what is that going to reveal later? So in reality, that's less a sign of how poorly it's written and more a sign of how the reveals are actually seeded with clues throughout the story that if you're paying attention, you can pick up on and actually make work. There is also a friend group forming. I don't know that I would call it a found family, but also low-key, I feel like the word found family is thrown around a little too much in modern day publishing. But you do get to see the formation of these relationships. I love TJ's crush on Manny. I believe she would be Afro-Latinx, and she is that kind of overachieving type, but has her own secrets that she doesn't want to talk about. You have Ayo, who is this classic, too cool and rich for you type that also may be hiding some insecurities, and he grows over the course of the story, and we love a redemption arc. But the second third, the main middle part of this book, can go a little bit slow as a result of that, because it is focused on uncovering clues and going into the world building with the classes teaching about the different Orishas and how they ended up in a world where so many of the Orishas are radio silent, and the formation of these, like the friend group slowly forming. It can get a little slow in the center if you don't like that kind of thing. Now, I love that kind of thing. I love seeing the training and seeing all the work put in, because for me, especially with a character like TJ, where he is the underdog, I want to see him overcoming. That way the triumph at the end of, aha, he can do the thing, feels a lot more earned. It feels a lot more purposeful and big, and it feels like you actually did follow him on this journey when you can see the steps of him slowly getting better at his classes and him slowly learning more. It's very nice. I appreciated it. But of course, I need to talk about the ending without being spoilery. So, being as vague as possible here, this has one of my favorite kinds of endings, which is gigantic. It has a lot of really big otherworldly things and cool magic, and of course it has like arcs being resolved and certain things being said or done that shows the growth of characters. And again, I'm trying to be vague. And also, as the first book in any series should do, it sets up the big questy thing to be done. But this one has a kind of short deadline to do the big thing by. And I was surprised by that. Usually most series will give themselves like a year or two, but this one it's like, no, we gotta do the big thing within 6 months. So I don't know if the entire series is going to be taking place over a short amount of time, or if there's going to be like a significant time jump and the next book will all take place in that 6 months, and then the next book after that will be something else, because I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be like a continuing, ongoing series. But I am excited to see where that goes next. I think this is a really cool idea. I really enjoy this, and I gave this book 5 stars. The third one that I've given this author, so I'm really excited to have another series to continue with this author, and I'm also really glad that I have another YA series on my list, because if you have been around my channel for a hot minute, you know that YA fantasy is one of the hardest ones for me to get into. And in all honesty, I probably could talk about this book for longer because there are so many cool little things in it. But it's also one of those books where I don't want to reveal everything to you, because this is a book where I would suggest you go read it yourself. in general, I highly enjoyed it and would definitely suggest it again for any fans of Percy Jackson or Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. You will definitely be intrigued by this one. I am still closed to all authors, but those I have already reviewed before. Really want to get open again, but still working on that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.